Let's go Dolphins fans! The pressure is building fast in Miami, and what I'm about to tell you might just change how you see this upcoming season. There are decisions being made behind the scenes that could define the future of this franchise, and not in a good way. If you thought last year's collapse was frustrating, wait until you hear what could be coming next. We're talking about job-threatening performances, questionable roster moves, and a front office that seems to be playing with fire while the clock ticks louder every day. Greer should have been out the door already, but somehow, he's still calling the shots, and what's happening now could make or break everything. I've got all the details lined up for you, but before we dive into this bombshell, smash that like button if you're a real Miami Dolphins fan. And if you've been loyal for more than 20 years, drop this in the comments. Go Dolphins! Meu coração sangra aqua y laranja. Now let me break down everything I've been hearing. Now, let's get to the meat of this story, because there's plenty to unpack. The first big issue facing the Dolphins is the leadership. Mike McDaniel, now entering his fourth season, is under immense pressure. Despite making the playoffs in 2 of his first 3 years, Miami has yet to win a single postseason game under his watch. The team completely collapsed at the end of both the 2022 and 2023 seasons. Remember the 70-point explosion against the Broncos last year? That incredible high was followed by a cold, disappointing descent in the final months. And the cherry on top? That ugly playoff loss in Kansas City, where they looked flat, uninspired, and completely overmatched. If history repeats itself and the Dolphins stumble again late in the 2025 season, there's a strong chance McDaniel could be out, and honestly, many fans might support that move. But the scrutiny doesn't stop there. Chris Greer, the architect behind this roster, has lost the faith of the fan base. Despite his long tenure, the failures in drafting and consistent mismanagement of talent have left the team stuck in mediocrity. If McDaniel goes, Greer needs to follow. It's time for accountability, and this season is shaping up to be their last shot. Let's pivot to the roster and talk about some of the decisions, or lack thereof, that are driving fans crazy. The offensive line, one of the most critical components for any successful team, is still a question mark. Right now, Miami's projected starters from left to right are Patrick Paul, James Daniels, Aaron Brewer, Jonas Savaiania, and Austin Jackson. The backup situation? It's concerning. Liam Eichenberg, Larry Borum, Kean Smith, and Andrew Meyer might be familiar names, but they don't exactly inspire confidence. Eichenberg especially has drawn heavy criticism. Despite his versatility, he's played all 5 O-line positions, his poor performance has fans begging for better depth. Yet, he remains on the roster, mainly because of his familiarity with McDaniel's system. It's not about talent, it's about survival, and that's not how you build a championship team. Omar Kelly even pointed out that interior offensive line depth is the second biggest need after quarterback. That says a lot about where this team stands heading into the season. Players like Isaiah Wynn and Brandon Scherff are still on the market, and the Dolphins should absolutely be considering them. But once again, financial restraints and front office indecision might stop them from pulling the trigger. Speaking of key areas, let's talk defense. There's one name you need to remember, Kenneth Grant. The rookie defensive tackle out of Michigan is already turning heads. His massive frame and explosive first step make him a nightmare for offensive lines. Paired with veteran Zach Sealer on the interior, and a powerful edge rotation featuring Chop Robinson, Jaylon Phillips, and Bradley Chubb, Miami's pass rush could be terrifying. There's genuine belief that this unit could become one of the league's best, disrupting games like the 2022 Eagles front did. But it all hinges on health and consistency, 2 things this franchise hasn't been able to maintain. The Dolphins did invest heavily in this unit during the draft, grabbing Grant in the first round, Jordan Phillips in the 5th, and Zeke Biggers in the 7th, while adding Alex Huntley as a UDFA. With Christian Wilkins and Deshaun Hand gone, the front office is gambling on youth to fill major gaps. It's a bold strategy, but also a risky one. And then there's the cornerback situation. There was chatter about potentially targeting a veteran like Jaire Alexander, but realistically, that's not happening. Alexander wants to get paid and join a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Miami isn't ready to offer either. As for Asante Samuel Jr., he's a more likely option due to his age and potentially lower cost, though his neck injury history remains a red flag. Still, if the Dolphins can snag him for a bargain 1-year deal, it might be worth the gamble. With so many uncertainties and high-stakes moves hanging in the balance, the 2025 season feels like a do-or-die moment. The pressure is mounting. If McDaniel can't deliver a playoff win, if the team falls apart once again when it matters most, then the Dolphins will have no choice but to clean house. But that leads us to the biggest question of all. Will the Dolphins finally break through, or are we on the verge of another letdown? Because here's the thing, Dolphins fans, this team isn't just skating on thin ice, it's hovering over open water. And we've seen this movie before. Fast starts, flashy plays, and then heartbreak every single time. The fan base is tired. The locker room? Probably just as frustrated. There's only so many times you can hear next year is our year before the words start to lose meaning. And if the front office continues to operate with the same blend of stubbornness and complacency, then it's hard to see how things change. Let's go back to Chris Grier for a moment. The man has somehow managed to survive regime changes, coaching turnover, and multiple failed retools. Yet, he's still here. The reality is that Grier's fingerprints are all over this roster. For every Tyreek Hill trade, there's a Noah Igbeneghu or an Austin Jackson selection that underwhelms. And don't forget the offensive line, which has been a glaring weakness for years, something you simply can't afford when your quarterback has a well-documented injury history like Tua Tagovailoa. And speaking of Tua, let's not pretend that the quarterback conversation isn't one of the biggest elephants in the room. This team declined to give him a contract extension this offseason. That alone speaks volumes. Whether it's about his injury history, doubts about his ability to win big games, or uncertainty over whether McDaniel can continue to mask his flaws with scheme, there's hesitation. And that hesitation is dangerous, because it creates uncertainty at the most important position in the game. There's a reason why fans and insiders alike are starting to keep an eye on the 2025 draft class. If Miami stumbles again and ends up with a mid-tier record, don't be surprised if a new head coach and general manager want to start fresh with a rookie quarterback on a cheap deal. Because as much as some fans love Tua, the business side of football doesn't care about popularity. It cares about wins, health, and salary cap flexibility. And right now, Tua is a risk in all three categories. Now let's circle back to the defense, because that's where Miami's identity could shift in 2025. If Mike McDaniel can't resurrect this offense, then the defense will need to carry this team. Kenneth Grant, as I mentioned, is already drawing rave reviews, but it doesn't stop there. Zach Sealer is criminally underrated, and if healthy, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb form one of the most disruptive edge duos in the league. Add in rookie Chop Robinson, whose athletic profile is off the charts, and this unit could be terrifying. But again, it's all potential right now. Production is what matters. If this pass rush doesn't generate sacks, if the secondary, which is likely without Xavier Howard this year, can't hold up, then the whole defense falls apart. Remember, Vic Fangio is gone. The scheme changes, the responsibilities shift, and players have to adjust. That takes time, and time is not something McDaniel or Grier have much of. Now let's talk about the schedule. Miami's path to the playoffs this year isn't exactly brutal, which is why so many expect at least 10 wins. But we've seen this team fall apart down the stretch before. If they start strong, say 6-2, then go 4-5 to finish, they'd be right back at 10-7. The question is, would that be enough to save jobs? Probably not without a playoff win. And if they start slow, the noise will only get louder. Let's not forget the wide receiver room either. While Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are elite, there's almost nothing proven behind them. Depth is a serious concern. One injury to either of those guys, and the offense changes dramatically. The Dolphins need another reliable pass catcher. The run game? Still inconsistent. And unless the offensive line improves dramatically, it's hard to see this team being able to play with physicality in cold weather games late in the year, exactly when it matters most. So here we are, a talented, but flawed team, with a front office and coaching staff fighting for their jobs, and a fan base demanding answers. The 2025 season could be the one that finally breaks the cycle, or the one that forces a full-blown reset. Will Chris Grier survive another year without playoff success? Will Mike McDaniel finally silence the doubters? Or are we heading for another disappointing collapse and a new era in Miami? Make sure you subscribe for more exclusive Dolphins news like this. Hit that like button if you're still rocking aqua and orange through thick and thin. And check out the next video popping up right here on the screen. I'll see you next time. Go Dolphins!